Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Superintendents Unplugged, In Depth with Davis, the podcast where we'll dive deep into the world of educational leadership. I'm your host, Addison Davis, and I'm thrilled to have you join me as we embark on the inspiring journey together. As a superintendent once myself, I understand the challenges and complexities that come with leading a school district. But what I've come to realize is that there's abundance of amazing work being done by superintendents all across our country. This podcast is a platform to shine a spotlight on their incredible accomplishments and innovative approaches. Each episode will bring you exclusive interviews and superintendents from various districts across our country, both big and small, urban and rural, as they share their personal stories, triumphs, and even their moments of vulnerability. We will explore the strategies they employ to tackle the ever-evolving landscape of education, from fostering equity and inclusivity to embracing technology and preparing students for their future. But this podcast isn't just about showcasing success. It's about fostering a community of educational leaders who can learn from one another, share their experiences, and collectively navigate the complexities of our role. We'll discuss the tough topics as well, the difficult decisions, and the innovative solutions that are transforming education for the better. So while you're an educator, a parent, a student, or simply someone who's passionate about education, this podcast is for you. Superintendents Unplugged is your behind-the-scenes pass to the world of educational leadership, where we uncover the stories that inspire, motivate, and empower every one of us. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and entertained as we embark on this incredible journey together. I can't wait to introduce you to the remarkable superintendents who are changing the educational landscape one district at a time. Welcome to another episode of Superintendents Unplugged, In Depth with Davis. I'm your host, Addison Davis, and I have one of the greatest leaders from the state of Florida with us today, Dr. Karen Barber from Santa Rosa Public School District. Doc, thanks for being here.
Oh, Addison, thank you. It's a great opportunity to kind of share the good news of what we're doing, and I appreciate it.
And not only are you here at this conference, with your ability to want to learn, to grow, to network, to connect with, superintendents around this nation, but you're also offering some leadership to aspiring leaders here. Let's talk about that. What is that? How's that? That's pretty cool.
Well, you have to pay it forward, right? And, I plan to be superintendent for many more years.
Let's do it.
But there will be a point where it's time to go. and we need good people, great leaders, great thinkers, people who love children.
Yes, ma'am.
In line, ready to go.
That's right.
And, when you mentor, you get so much back from that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. ASA, being able to create a pipeline of future, whether it be female or, male leaders, being able to take first-round draft pick leaders and say, you know what, these are the lessons I've learned. These are other elements that you may want to be aware of, because honestly, I didn't get that. I mean, I got trial by error. I wish I had someone, Alberto did a lot for me. Nikolai Vitti did so much for me. And I love Nikolai and Alberto, but, the everyday training side of it is so important.
Yeah, it's really important. Our Florida organization, Florida Association for School District Superintendents, we come together, we can commiserate, we can problem solve together. We're a support system for each other.
That's right.
And AASA does the same thing. And their aspiring female superintendent organization has just been a blessing for so many.
We need so many more, females in the leadership role. And I think it's growing though every single year. And we need children and students and young women. And I have two girls that maybe aspire to be a superintendent, to see them in the role and to love it and to grow it and say, you know what, that's me one day.
Exactly. Can't be what you can't see.
That's right. I love it.
Right.
I love it. So 38 years, Doc.
Right.
I mean, what's the recipe?
Well, always focusing on children. That has to be the cornerstone of every decision you make. Every time you get up in the morning and you go to school, it needs to be, they deserve our focus. And that really is the compass rose for me. If I keep them in every decision that I'm making, every resource that I'm providing for them with a great team surrounding me, all believing the same thing, that they deserve our very best every day, you really can't go wrong.
That's right.
You can go home at night and sleep because you know you've done the right thing for kids.
No, and from in your lens, I mean, and we've watched you, and I've watched you, love to watch the cool things happen. You've assembled a really good cabinet. And as superintendents, how important is it to have the right people in those positions? Not people that, you know what, that are seasoned, it's their time, but the right people.
Absolutely. I was just watching a podcast that Malcolm Gladwell did the other day, and he's talking about the configuration of the right team. You have to have diversity on that team, different perspectives. And he gave the example of President Kennedy in the Bay of Pigs. And when that debacle happened, Kennedy's cabinet was full of men who graduated from Harvard, all brilliant men.
Sure.
All of them with a similar perspective.
Similar system thinking, you know?
Yeah. So you've got to have diverse thinkers,
Love it.
diverse talents, but people that are loyal and people that have the same priority for children that you do. So I'm blessed to have an amazing cabinet of folks, but you've got to, I mean, they're in the trenches with you and you can't do it by yourself, right?
That's right.
So you better love each other. You better have each other's back and, know what's the priority.
That's right. And you know what, being able to build you just said rich, diverse thinkers that aren't bobbleheads, but at the same token, understand that as we roll up our sleeves, we unpack our priorities, we build an action plan, a staircase to be able to get it. Yeah. No matter what, when we walked out of that room, we're in unison, we're in collaboration, we are lock and step.
There's clarity.
That's right. And in that cabinet, the importance of connecting the district to schools, having those leaders be activating school principals, being sponsors of teachers, sponsors of professional development. It's so important that when we build these cabinets, they're not just stuck in the district, but they're an instrumental part of what we do.
Right. So, the magic happens in the classroom, right? We've got to take care of our principals and our assistant principals so they can be the instructional leaders at the school. Right. But that district level of support, whether it's coordinators, directors, assistant supes, deputies, superintendent, all of them have to have a servant's heart. They really have to. And folks at the building level need to tell us when they don't feel that that's what we've got.
That's right. Honestly, the pushback, the problem solver, the thinkers about how we can get better and evolve. And you just talked about it, going back where all the magic happens in the classroom. Y'all had some real good magic in Santa Rosa.
We've had some good magic.
I mean, some cool things. I mean, we're accelerating learning. We got graduation rates out of the roof. What's the recipe, Doc?
Well, I do love to call it the magic, but I will tell you what we are doing is evidence-based. It is based on neuroscience. It's based on research. So as the superintendent, one of the things that I believe is my job, besides telling the good news of Santa Rosa County School District, I'm the lead mentor, I'm the lead learner. So at every monthly principal and assistant principal meeting, I'm teaching. Started that when I first became principal. So we started with the Wallace Foundation study, that 20-year meta-analysis about the effects of effective principals on student achievement. We went from there. I wanted our principals to know you have the power and you have the burden and the responsibility of being an effective leader, because when you do, students learn more.
Absolutely.
So it's my job to continue to train them, to make sure that they are as knowledgeable in evidence-based teaching and learning as possible. And that's why I feel like we've moved the needle, because we just poured our resources into them so they can pour that into the teachers and then the students.
I mean, I think the greatest gift that I ever gave the multiple districts I led was hiring the first round draft picks, best principals that I can. Absolutely. I mean, and I know it was hard to do with 250 schools, but I pretty much interviewed top 3 candidates. Right. If I could walk with them at school, we walk with them at school to listen, to learn, to grow for them, to make sure they're the right match. But they are so important in the conduit of learning. And then, well, I love what you said. I always taught in my principal meetings, not that they maybe wanted to pull the fire alarm because I love to teach, but I wanted to model what I expected in every single day. Exactly. It sounds like you and rock and roll.
That's it. I mean, that's one of our other main jobs as superintendents. You've got to be that role model for everybody. So the mission in our school district is to love, educate, and prepare all students for graduation and a successful future. That's what I have to walk the talk of every single day.
Right. And you're doing it. I mean, the end goal for us is to prepare students for endless opportunities, and that is post-secondary education, military, or the workforce. Those are the three full option grads we're trying to get them to go to. But you're doing it. I mean, your graduation rate is crazy wild.
Well,
so how's that happening?
We're not yet where we want to be. I always say that I'm happy, but I'm not satisfied.
That's right.
Right. So, of course, we want to graduate as many students as we can on time. I do realize that we have some children with special needs, and they may take a little bit longer, and that is okay. Federal law allows our students with special needs to go to school until they're 22. Right. And if that's what we need to get to that successful future, then that's what we're going to do. Okay. But for those who can graduate on time, we want that for them. But besides getting that diploma on time, we want to make sure that they have industry certifications, that they have all the preparations that they have so that they're ready for post-secondary, career, military. And so it's knowing every kid, though, right? That's how you get to that finish line. Right. Is knowing every student. So you've got to really be vigilant with your data, but you also have to be able to offer opportunities so that kids want to come to school. And
bringing kids to school. I mean, one thing we can't do as leaders is have a focus on getting them in, getting them fed, getting them home. It's got to be so much more inclusive of that process and getting them to fall in love. In Santa Rosa, you built kind of a really good culture where kids care, where the community knows you care.
Right.
How have y'all done that?
Well, strategic plans, everybody has one, right? It can mean nothing, or it can mean everything.
I know the 6 points in yes. Santa Rosa don't play around.
Right. No.
6 pillars.
We probably say strategic plan, I don't know, 100 times a day. Each of the members of my cabinet and myself. We started back when we were getting our accreditation back in 2021. Cogni, of course, was the review group that we worked with for our accreditation. We put out an RFP to see what organization might help us and facilitate the development of our strategic plan. Cognia got the contract. Sure. So simultaneously, we were doing strategic planning while we're doing accreditation. Listen, it was the best thing we could have.
Did they work for both of those to help y'all coordinate both of those?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely did. Now,
well, that's cool. These are big lifts, Doc, at the same time.
They are. But the strategic planning process actually took us 10 months. 10 full months. We took our time. I wanted to get the review team recommendations before we finalized that. But we had 33,000 stakeholder surveys, 6 town halls, 34 small group discussions, over 100 one-on-one interviews with parents, teachers, community members, but especially students. And we took all that to then envision and to decide what are the priorities going to be. That's where our mission statement came from: to love, educate, and prepare all students for graduation and successful future. And then the plan, which is alive and well, we meet quarterly, looking at our outcomes. Where are we on our roadmap? But that's really been the focus. And any decision we make, any money we spend, any human resources that we are focusing on have to align with that strategic plan and that mission.
I love it. I mean, goals and guardrails.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single day. And thank you for saying it, because we have a lot of people that rush through the strategic plan process. That mapping that you just spoke about with active engagement, civic leaders, community members, students, stakeholders, intrinsic, looking at past history of what they've accomplished. It's so important. I mean, not knowing where you were, so important looking back to be able to move forward, but also actively engage in the voice of what your community and stakeholders want Santa Rosa to look like.
Exactly. You mentioned voice. So when we interviewed our students and we looked at the data from their surveys, 75% of our students said that they were connected to their schools beyond their core classes. 25 said they weren't. So we really, that was a call for us. And so we went about increasing our AP and dual enrollment opportunities, increasing industry certification opportunities, adding more extracurricular. So we have esports now. Started an orchestra program that didn't exist. Started a football program at one of our rural high schools that didn't have football. And let me tell you, starting a football program, that is not an easy thing.
A coach, a uniform, a schedule, a field, facilities. Oh my gosh.
But we
logo.
Exactly. All of those things. That football program started a varsity program this year.
Wow.
3 years ago, we started with the youth league, then JV, varsity this year. Our first student from that program signed a scholarship to play football in college.
That is awesome.
So all
Like,
those
that's different.
opportunities.
Those are difference makers right there. The first win. Imagine the first win of history of who they were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
really cool.
They had one win.
Yeah, and we'll take the win. That's all it needs. It takes one. You know what? And they'll get better every single day. But you know what? You gave them a sense of belonging, a place where they had a love and a passion. They want to be involved in it. And over time, they will become so successful on and off the field.
Yeah, I agree. When you talk about that sense of belonging, the other thing that we've really focused on is we're not just in the business of education or giving a diploma. We're in the hope business. That's what we're in. Several years ago, I had a student at one of our high schools who committed suicide. And you know how that is. It's tragic. You go home at night not being able to sleep. But I kept thinking, what did we miss? What did we miss? What did we miss? And so I started doing research on the science and the power of hope. So at the University of Oklahoma, Dr. Chan Hellman, they study hope. And it's actually, it's an action. You can teach hope. All right.
That's cool.
It's not just a wish. And they found out there are really 3 parts of hope. First, you have to have desirable goals. So in a school system, we're helping students identify what is their goal, what is their desirable goal. Then you have to have pathways to get there. And that may be in the classroom, that may be extracurricular.
Right.
And then the third thing is willpower. And that's, a limited commodity. So we want to make sure we've got good nutrition programs for our students. Because when you don't eat and you miss a meal and your blood glucose levels go down,
Sure.
your willpower goes down. When you don't have somebody who's behind you saying you can do this, your willpower goes down. And so in school systems, we need to be there to be the guardians of hope for our students. You have all 3 of those things there, your graduation rate is going up.
You know what? Those who are watching today, you've listened and heard about a systematic approach and a way to lead your district by giving them the will set, the mindset, the direction, the opportunity to lead, to grow, to be, to inspire. You've done all those things, Doc. And you know what? It's refreshing. Not saying I want to get back and jump in it but I love it.
But you are.
I know.
You're helping leaders every day,
Yes.
which is, yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for spending the time with us today. Really cool things. Awesome. You've heard it from one of the nation's best. Florida's rocking and rolling in Santa Rosa Public School District in Florida. Dr. Karen Barber is doing really exceptional things. Watch and learn and listen as they continue to accelerate learning, but at the same token, build the greatest culture of hope within their community. So, Doc, thank you for what you do to give back. Love being a colleague with you, and nothing but the best of luck.
Well, Addison, thank you. It's been great to share with you.
Thank you so very much. Until next time, look forward to seeing you on Superintendents Unplugged, In Depth with Davis.